All right, you guys know him from the wildly popular account at Pitching Ninja on X.com. It is Rob Friedman, a favorite of ours, a favorite of yours. And Rob, we're so happy to have you here on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. How are y'all?
Well, really happy. I mean, we just saw another phenomenal outing by Luis Castillo. As you know, the Mariners' starting rotation has just been absolutely lights out with 16, 17 quality starts and 18 outings. It's just unbelievable to watch. Now, my question for you, my first one is, as someone who obviously loves pitching, I mean, your career as an MLB analyst is in part analyzing pitching and analyzing different pitches. Is this now appointment viewing for you, just tuning in to be like, what are the Mariners serving up tonight?
Oh, without a doubt it is. Unfortunately, I live in Atlanta, so it was against the Braves. So people around here weren't all that happy with it. But, yeah, like actually in spring training, I got to hang out with the Mariners for a good bit, the Mariners staff. And they've always been appointment viewing for me, especially this year, but just love it.
Yeah, no denying what we're seeing with these pitchers, right? The Mariners are the only team with 5 pitchers with at least 3 quality starts, and I'm trying to make connections. Like, how do these guys complement each other if they can? Because I was listening to the post game show, and they were talking about how Castillo really saw what Miller did to this lineup, and he might have made some changes to his approach. Like, how are these guys connected?
This is one of the unique rotations in that it's almost like a pack-like mentality. I noticed that in spring training. They all like each other. They learn from each other. They watch each other's outings intently, but they're all very different but pick up things from each other. I mean, Castillo is very different from Miller in the way that they throw, but they support each other and can look for holes and swings and other stuff. But they also learn pitch grips from each other, too. I've noticed a lot of similarities, like folks picking up splitters from each other. It's a lot of fun. Really good folks.
Hey, what's your personal favorite to watch right now? I feel like any night my answer could change from George Kirby to Logan Gilbert to Castillo, but who are you really enjoying tuning into?
I almost asked that question on X just because I can't make up my mind. It depends on who's pitching that day. Honestly, to me, George Kirby is an absolute freak in terms of command. There's nobody. I made the point of saying I don't think there's anybody in the history of baseball, and yes, I'm talking about Greg Maddux too, that has better command than George Kirby. But then Logan Gilbert, I mean, his splitter is that new splitter is absolutely amazing to me. The how few rotations it gets on the way to the plate. It's almost like a knuckleball, and he's a competitor. Bryce Miller's kind of chill, but not on the bump, and he just comes right at you. And Luis Castillo has been one of my favorites for years. He used to be a changeup king, and now he's a 4-seam fastball king. So really, it depends on what on the day. And I hate that it's a cop-out answer, I think, but it's true. Like, it varies.
When you look at this rotation, my concern was Emerson Hancock, but it seems like he's found his footing. What have you seen out of Emerson Hancock? How has he grown?
So correct, and that was my concern too. I thought he was holding a spot for Brian Wu till Wu got back, and Wu's been tearing it up in the minor leagues. We're talking about this staff, we're not talking about Brian Wu, which is nuts. Emerson Hancock is from here. Like, he's a Georgia guy. He pitched at UGA. His fastball is playing way better than I thought it would. That's the thing that's jumped out at me is I thought he was struggling with his fastball for maybe his first start, and I hadn't seen anything spectacular from him. But I think it's the Mariners have a unique philosophy of attack. Like, they want your best stuff in the zone, fill it up, and challenge everybody. And it's why they have like the third fewest walks, something like that, and the most Ks. It's crazy, the combination of command and stuff that we're seeing. It's not often that you see high strikeouts with very low walks. And that's kind of the overall philosophy. And I think it's fed into what Hancock's doing, which is pounding the zone with his fastball and letting it eat. And I think it's helped with his confidence. Like, hey, we know you're good enough. Throw fastballs by people. You see these other guys do it. You do it too.
You mentioned it as a unique philosophy. What makes it unique? How does it compare to what you've seen from other clubs?
So historically, it's about, hey, when you get to the major leagues, you have to hit your spot. You have catchers you're trying to kind of figure out exactly where the hole in the swing is. And if you miss your spot, you're going to get shelled. And the Mariners, and I think it actually started with the Rays. It's about throwing your best stuff in the zone. And the Mariners have taken that to every level of the organization. And I know Cal Raleigh was talking about it. Like, he knows his guys fantastically. Having a guy like that support their pitchers and know what they're best at is great, because it gives the pitchers extra confidence. But it's just a unique philosophy that other teams are trying to adopt now. I think the Pirates are trying to adopt it too. But the Mariners have done it better than anybody as far as best stuff in the zone, and we trust you. They're going to get guys that have command, not projects necessarily. They're going to get guys that they feel can command the zone, and just let them do what they do best.
Well, that led me into my next question. I was going to ask about Cal. I mean, obviously the arms on the mound is what everyone is looking at and what they appreciate, but Cal plays a big role in this thing. I saw him come out and give Bryce 13 straight heaters to start the game. Man, just talk about his role and how important it is for him to understand what's going on.
So while I was interviewing the pitchers in spring training, he comes over and he goes, "Can I get interviewed too? Like, catchers need love too." And he is fantastic. Like, to me, catchers are a huge part of having a great pitching staff, and he is fantastic in knowing their stuff. And he loves Bryce Miller. He loves fastballs in general. He calls what he doesn't feel like he could hit. So he's watching Miller throw, and he's like, heater again. He called 47 straight fastballs last year for Luis Castillo. And I asked him about it, and he was like, "I just wanted to see how many he can throw in a row." So that's what we're going to do. He's very low-key and very supportive of pitchers, great confidence, smart dude, great personality. And that's what you need. They're like a little bit of a psychiatrist to get the most out of each pitcher, and he is fantastic at it.
Could you put into context just how great this stretch of pitching is that we've seen? Because I think with baseball, it's so regional. There are many fans, Rob, that we have listening that watch other teams and that watch Sunday Night Baseball and tune in and pay attention. And then there are fans that are like, you know what? I'm a Mariners fan. I don't care what's going on with other teams. But that also means that you miss out on sometimes how amazing or unique something your team is doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible in that I was going to make a stupid comparison. Like, I can't compare it with like the Braves' heyday pitching staff, because you're talking about 3 Hall of Famers, right? That's a little crazy. But you can talk about each of these guys in that, at what they're doing right now is as good as you've seen even from that staff. What is it, like 18 consecutive games started with 2 earned runs or fewer? Like, who does that?
Mm-hmm.
That's all-time great stuff, and I don't think it's a fluke. You have Miller adding new pitches. That's made him better. Last year he was a heater man, and this year his splitter is filthy. And if you've noticed, you have Kirby, Gilbert, and him with splitters, and they're all nasty pitches. That's what I mean about great staffs like this. They learn from each other, and they want to one up each other without competing necessarily in a bad way. They compete in a good way, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing legendary stuff right now. It's an absolute legendary stretch.
The Mariners will be faced with a good problem. You got Wu, who is getting healthy, and you brought up Emerson Hancock to kind of fill that void, but now he's looking good. If you were calling the shots with the Mariners, what do you do with that rotation once Wu's ready to go?
I put Wu back in, and I keep Hancock up and give him maybe, you need extra pitching. You're always going to need guys, and having a confident Hancock is important. But Wu is freaking electric, and when he's on, ton of fun to watch. Another fastball guy, like, he just blows it by you. Plus, you need him out there because you need the crowd to be yelling, "Woo!" every time he gets a K. I love the Ric Flair stuff. Let's go.